degree in economics from JNU. He has received international recognition through fellowships from the Kiel Institute of World Economy and UNEP. He also serves at national and international advisory and standards committees related to sustainability and environmental management. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Souvik Bhattacharya.
Good afternoon, and on behalf of MRAI, I welcome you to this second session of today's workshop, India's Critical Mineral Mission, How Can Recycling Deliver Supply Security at Scale? So before I invite all the panelists to the stage, I would like to thank MRAI for inviting me for this session, requesting me to kind of deliver the keynote address as well as moderate the panel discussion. So we do have a long list of very learned panel working across various dimensions of circularity in the critical mineral space. First, I would like to invite Dr. Anupam Agnihotri, Director, JNNRDC, who is a nationally recognized metallurgist with over 30 years of experience in the research and development policy, industrial innovation across aluminium, critical minerals recycling and circular economy. He is also the Director and CEO of JNNRDC, and has transformed it into a financially viable and self-sustaining national institution contributing to key national frameworks in the non-ferrous metals and critical minerals. Let's give a round of applause to Dr. Agnihotri, and I would request him to come to the stage. Next, I invite Mr. Sukhdev Singh, who is the Director at the Ministry of Mines, and he's an officer of the Indian Economic Services with over 12 years of experience in economic policy, mining, critical minerals, financial analysis, state mining reforms, and labor market issues. He is actively involved in driving key policy initiatives, sectoral reform, circularity, and strategic decision-making for the mining and the critical mineral sectors. Now I request Shri Runa Orao, who is a scientist E and Divisional Aid Waste Management 1 at the Central Pollution Control Board, and is currently engaged in the management and regulation of biomedical waste and battery waste, contributing to the strengthening of the environmental compliance and sustainable waste management services. Sri Runa holds a BTech in Chemical Engineering as well as an MTech in Environmental Engineering, along with postgraduate diplomas in Environmental Law and the Environmental Health Safety. Please join me in welcoming Sri Orao for this discussion. We do have also Sri Ankit Agarwal, who is a technical advisor at the Ministry of Heavy Industry with over 16 years of experience in the power and the energy sector, including the engineering and commissioning of more than 5 gigawatt of power projects in India and abroad. Sri Ankit has extensive expertise in the battery energy storage systems, renewable energy integration, grid stability, and currently contributing towards India's Atmanirbhar Bharat mission by supporting the initiatives on the advanced chemical cells, chemistry, and energy storage manufacturing. So please join me in giving a round of applause to Sri Ankit Agarwal ji. And finally, we have Mr. Harshal Dalne, AGM at the Government Affairs on BD at MTC Group, with over 18 years of experience in driving strategic growth initiatives with a focus on startup investments, joint ventures, and collaborations in high-growth synergistic sectors. His expertise lies in building partnerships and fostering business opportunities that support the group's long-term expansion and innovation objectives. So thank you so much for agreeing to speak at this panel discussion. So as we move ahead with the proceedings of this particular session, I do have a 5-minute short presentation to kind of set the context for today's discussion, and then we go to the respective panelists. And once we have a round of discussion on the various questions that I have identified, so we'll go back to the audience to understand if they have any specific questions for the panelists, and that's how we would kind of bring to the end of this panel session. So this presentation that I have prepared tries to identify the challenges and the opportunities that exist in the electronics and the lithium-ion battery wastes in India. Next slide, please. Okay. So we are all aware of the energy transition that's happening in the country, and I see the energy transition is very synonymous to material transition. The way the energy security had been defined over the last so many decades, largely having secured access to oil and gas, is no more sufficient. What we are seeing is a transition in the mineral intensive application in the renewable energy space, in the electronic vehicle space, as well as other high-end applications. Now, typically, any kind of renewable energy technology would have 6 to 7 times more energy, materials embedded in those products compared to the conventional energy. And as a result, what has happened is the critical minerals are emerging as the new strategic assets which have strong foundation in the energy systems, the industrial competitiveness, as well as the technological leadership. I think in the previous session, there was a discussion on the rising demand of critical minerals and some of the estimates that we at TERI have undertaken over the last few months. We see that graphite, nickel and lithium is expected to increase to 4 to 6 million metric tons, 11 million metric tons and 6 million metric tons over a period from now till we reach the net zero by 2070. Now, the challenges in terms of augmenting the materials from our traditional way of mining is humongous. I think there was a presentation in the previous session that talked about the lead time, the long lead time of around 10 to 15 years to bring any mine into production. And there are obviously delays, issues related to the administrative procedures, environmental clearance, and infrastructure readiness. And by virtue of the capital intensive nature, it makes the entire investments very expensive. So the minerals that are supposed to be into production by 2030 are supposed to come in the process now. But unfortunately, we do not have any of them in the production. India's import dependence on the critical minerals is very high. So it's further complicated by the fact that it's geographically concentrated and is geopolitically very sensitive. And it's also subject to various price fluctuations. But the good news is that there is a parallel base of materials which are currently present in the economy. And two of the critical base that we talk about in the area of security of critical minerals is the electronic waste and the lithium-ion batteries. And we have estimated that the total volume of electronic waste is expected to increase from 6 million metric tons in 2025-26 to almost 54 million metric tons by 2040. And end-of-life batteries and electronics contain the materials that we are talking about, particularly the critical minerals, and they can be kind of expanded into scale. And the future resource security that I define is not from mining, but also from urban mining. So it's a combination of traditional mining plus urban mining. Well, this presents a kind of a growth in the trajectory in terms of the production of total electronic waste that would be generated. And I have already presented here. And also in terms of the lithium-ion battery, which we see like from 6 kilotons to almost 432 kilotons by 2040. And majority would be coming from the lithium-ion from the electric vehicles, and the remaining 114 kilotons would be coming from the lithium-ion batteries from the energy storage system. So this was an exercise that we had done when we developed a flagship report with the Niti Aayog on the circular economy in the electronic waste and lithium-ion battery sector, where we see that the total value of electronic waste comes to around 51,000 crore. But what is currently or technically extractable is around 30,000 crore. And out of that one, only 18% is kind of recovered either by the informal or the formal sector. And the formal sector presence is only 5%, while the informal sector's presence is almost at the 13%. And because of very primitive way of extraction, we are losing a lot of materials, and that amounts to 42% of the total technically extractable volume of around 30,600 crore. And finally, we have the complex alloys and the trace metals that add up to almost 40% of the total electronic waste that is generated in the country. The policy landscape in India has been very forward-looking, and over the last 8 or 10 years, we have seen significant amendments in the electronic waste rules as well as the battery waste management and handling rules, bringing EPR as one of the key policy instruments in the forefront. We have also seen the introduction of the National Critical Mill Mission, and we will hear from Sukhdev Singh sir regarding how this Critical Mill Mission has instituted one element on recycling and how the ministry is taking that one forward. And also the announcement of the Critical Mineral Recycling Incentive Scheme that was announced last year with a total allocation of 1,500 crore. And we have seen quite a number, I think almost 58, 59 companies participating in that particular scheme. Now, the way forward is, obviously, I look at it from the perspective of 5 major pillars. The first one is needing to address the gaps associated with the waste management rules and implementation. Whether the current set of like the 4 or 5 materials which are covered under the EPR, should that be expanded or not? Then we go to the need for nurturing the nascent lithium-ion battery recycling, which is currently confined to very limited number of industries, and how that can be increased to other industries as well. Need for enhancing the skilling, the research and development, and the technological transfer. Need for the formalization of the informal sector, and obviously the e-waste collection, which is again highly decentralized, as well as in the informal sector be kind of more formalized, and how we can bring the consumers in the forefront in their awareness. Before I end, I would like to kind of end with a key question where we would like to kind of seek answer through this panel discussion, and obviously would be relevant for MRAI in terms of compiling all the responses that we get from the different panel discussion. So can circularity recycling realistically deliver a meaningful share of India's critical mineral requirements over the next decade, or will it remain a complementary activity unless supported by transformative policy interventions? So with this, I conclude here, and we move to our next agenda item, which is the panel discussion. Thank you so much. So we start with our first presentation for the session by Dr. Anupam Agnihotri, and may I request him to come to the podium to make the presentation. Yeah.
Thank you, Souvik, for setting the tone. My fellow panelists, ladies and gentlemen, at the outset, let me thank MRAI for inviting me, and special thanks to Mr. R.P. Gupta, ex-director of Ministry of Mines, to seeing to it that I am present here. I never knew I have got 5 minutes. When generally we speak for not less than 15-20 minutes when we make a presentation. So I quickly go through the presentation, and I'll try to share like what exactly is having under the incentive scheme, what are the various policies by Ministry of Mines, and some of the part of Mr. Sukhdeep I'll be covering, so he doesn't mind that. All right. So I'll skip this. Everybody knows why we need critical minerals. Yes, this is the kind of a demand. 112 million tons, that is as per the policy of Government of India. And if you want to have a net zero 2070, so it will rise to 169, 51% demand increase under net zero. And here I'll see how the demand emerge over the cumulative period, the years. Presently 2%, we don't have a market for that. 2030, 2050, it will surge to 32%. And net zero 2070 from 2050, it will increase to 66%. So India's future critical mineral demand will rise sharply under net zero pathway. That is what this slide talks about. Everybody knows where the demand is coming. The only thing I like to share, 85% of the demand is coming from batteries and solar. And that is what, all the critical mineral will be concentrated. So that is how these numbers, if you look at the numbers, 2070, the numbers are mind-boggling. The kind of energy, the kind of wind required, for a country like ours. Moving to, yes, the highest project demand for the various critical minerals. Again, I mean, you can see the lithium 2047 to 2070, there is no increase in that. That's a kind of a saturation we are reaching. And the reason for that is the technology development, the battery technology development, in which it will be more of energy production with less of the critical mineral. So that is what the project demand is there. This already has been shared by the previous session. Yes, why recycling is strategic. Everybody knows. Like I was seeing that the first generation of mineral security was built on mining. And believe me, the next generation will be built on recycling and circularities. This is what I want to stress here. Urban mining opportunity, e-waste, how the generation is going to increase. Presently, we are at about 6.19 million tons, and this will go up to 14 by 2030. So the kind of recycling demand will grow, and there's an increase in 16.9% annual growth. Oh boy, the timing is running out. I'll skip this. Just I'll share what's happening. Yes. Come here. So that's a national critical mineral mission that's based on 10 pillars, 1,200 domestic exploration projects, domestic production of 15 critical minerals, at least out of those 24 plus 3, 27. Indian companies to acquire 50 mining assets. This is the assignment given to Kabil. Incentive scheme for recycling. JNARDDC is handling this. Fast-track regulatory approvals process for mining projects, especially the environment clearance, will be covered. Target of recovering 400 kilotons of recycled material. Stockpiling, this is very important because today there is no market available for the critical mineral in our country, so we have to look for the stockpiling. That is at least 5 critical minerals we have to do. R&D for self-sufficiency in more than 5 critical minerals, more than 1,000 patents across the critical minerals. Yes, country like India, our country is filing more than 1,000 patents a year, but unfortunately, it's only 5%, less than 5% are concentrated in extracting technology. 95% are application-based patents. Set up 4 regional mineral processing parks. This is what our Secretary Sir told in morning. And it is not 3 center of excellence. Now it's 9 center of excellence has been established by Ministry of Mines. Time is over. I'll take 2 minutes more, Souvik. All right? So this is the financial outlay, what has been allocated to various companies for securing domestic and foreign sourcing. NMET GSI, it's 4,000 crores. NMET for risk coverage, 4,000 crores. Support for exploration activities outside India, 1,600, other than 18,000, which will be spent by PSUs. And then incentive scheme for mineral recycling is 1,500. Pilot projects, mineral recovery, we have another 100 crores. Other than this, NRF is spending about 210 crores on coming up with the pilot projects for recovering critical minerals. Strengthening value chains. As I told you, NRF and other R&D scheme, we put together, it's 500 crores. International R&D support schemes, another 500. Skill development centers, the budget has been kept at 100. Critical mineral processing park, 500 crores, the 4 parts, what Piyush Goyal mentioned in morning. And for stockpiling for at least 5 critical minerals, there is a budget of 500 crores. So we see the total comes to 34,300, out of which PSUs have to spend 18,000 crores for acquiring mines abroad. This is what, and other schemes, what Ministry of Mines is supporting is the science and research and development for coming up various technologies, whether it's extraction, refining. But this year, it was concentrated only on the critical minerals. Pilot projects, as told, 100 crores budget is there for setting up pilot plants, especially for tailings, for waste material, for overburden, and of course, for the lean ores. S&T PRISM, we are supporting the startup, increasing the TRL level. So the startup scheme is there, and this time the call was for the critical mineral. And incentive scheme is 1,500 crores for supporting 20% of subsidy for their capex. This is how the scenario is. I mean, we have surpassed all the numbers as decided by the government. The target was to recycle about 270,000 tons of the waste material covered under three streams, that is e-waste, spent LIB, and the other waste which is not covered under this, like spent magnets, catalysts. So we have surpassed that. Now we'll, under this scheme, total waste which will be processed is about 858,000 tons per annum. And expected outcome was about 39,000 tons of critical minerals. That also has been surpassed. And under this scheme, if everything goes as planned, it's about 90,000 tons of critical mineral will be produced per annum. Yes, this is what we said. This is the distribution for the e-waste. The expected number was 120 now. Out of those 58 entities, the total e-waste process will be 438, spent LIB 347, and other 72. So we have, as I told you, we are under the scheme. The total processing will be of 858,000 tons. Total investment will be about 5,261 crores, and the subsidy will be around 932 crores. So that's the distribution of that. I mean, we'll skip this because already surpassed the time. These were the various focus areas to be covered under the startup as well as research and development call of Ministry of Mines, like they covered the complete value chain of critical minerals. An incentive scheme was for 27 critical minerals. That was 24 plus 3. 3 was given by Ministry of Electronics. If I remember correctly, it was antimony, bismuth, and beryllium were added, which is not a list of our 24 critical minerals. Pilot projects, yes, this has been also 100 crore budget is there for supporting the utilization of low-grade complex ore, mine tailing, and dumps. As I told you, the period is 2 years. R&D scheme, yes, the industry has to support by 10% if it's MSME, 20% if it's not MSME, and the TRL requirement is TRL 3 and above. So this is how the TRL ladder is planned by Ministry of Mines, idea to commercial scale, like R&D scheme to have TRL 3. We support below TRL 3 also for very good proposals. Then to step up, it's a SNT scheme, startup scheme is there to take it to the next TRL level, then pilot projects to have TRL 5 plus, and then of course the incentive scheme is there for the complete commercialization production of the critical mineral. Recycling as a supply security pillar, yes, converts e-waste, reduces import risk, retains critical minerals, support circular economy, and recycling in India's second mine. That is what I told. The next generation mineral security will come through the recycling. So that's all. Thank you very much. I think I've covered some of the Sukhdeep's time also. Thank you for that.
Thank you, sir, for this wonderful presentation on the overall positioning of the critical minerals in the country in terms of its demand, the recycling capacity, as well as the investments that are expected to come in the critical mineral space. So now that you have spoken, so I'll come to Mr. Sukhdeep Singh directly, and I'll come to sir, to you later. Do you have a presentation, sir, or you want to speak from there? Okay. Yeah. So essentially, we would like to understand, like now that we are aware of the various pillars of the National Critical Mineral Mission, how do you see recycling actually fitting into the National Critical Mineral Mission? And obviously, the ministry's plan of any, in the future, if they would like to come up with any kind of a specific incentive scheme. Obviously, we are aware of the current incentive scheme, but in order to scale up the recycling in the country, if there is any additional thinking process, including increased allocation of resources.
So, namaskar to everybody. So, if I understand correctly, these are two questions for me, or can I say something else apart from this? Okay.
Sure, definitely you can say, but maybe if you can just touch upon these elements, that would be very helpful.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll come to this. So, First of all, I express my thanks to Material Recycling Authority for giving me a chance to interact with the audience and listening to distinguished speakers on the subject. And my task is made quite easy by Anupam sir. So he covered a lot of things that I was supposed to speak. So directly to this topic of this discussion, how can recycling can deliver at a scale? And the question, how it is recycling as an initiative is fitting within the overall, you can say, package of NCMM. And second, ask whether we are coming up with something else, some policy instruments. That's okay. So, sense is that we are very, serious about this, ensuring the supply and security of these minerals, which are the future or new generation minerals. Without these minerals, we cannot think of any, you can say, any forward success, because they are needed by all the critical and strategic sectors. Just to name few: EVs, renewables, energy storage, and even in AI infrastructure. So, considering the importance of this, last year in the month of January, we come up with this very broad mission. A mission, when we started, even we were little, because this was the first time some policy announcement and this this announcement was going to be made by the country. So mission is not only focusing on the, you can say, domestic production from the domestic sources. We are considering all the aspects that countries across the world were talking about, and we made some additions. Like say, it's a parallel exercise or parallel attack on a lot of fronts, right from the exploration, then mining, then auctioning of blocks, and more important is to get these blocks operationalized. It's not only auctioning just a critical mineral blocks, and then because as Director JNRDC was just saying, because it takes a time, and so we also spoken about that, there are a lot of regulatory and administrative glitches before a mine or block comes to operation. So good news is that we are working very closely with the Environment Ministry and getting a lot of positive notifications from the Environment Ministry to facilitate the EC and FC part. Just to cite one example, recently critical and strategic mineral blocks are exempted from the public hearing. A lot of other reforms that are not directly relevant to this this discussion, but they deserve some mention here. So that's why I said. Now, this recycling presents a very unique opportunity to country, because this is the only way we can transform and convert waste to resource, waste to wealth. So keeping that thing in mind, my answer to first question is yes, this initiative is very relevant, and we considered the exigency of time, and a lot of the entities who are the beneficiary under our scheme, they will appreciate this fact that I think in a very short span of time, we come up with this scheme, and when the mission was getting, the other components of the mission were getting mature, under ideation stage, and this scheme is the first part of that mission that see the light of the day. So on the 2nd October, when country was celebrating the Gandhi Jayanti, so we launched this scheme, and after that we got a very good response, and I think the progress is going well, and we are very hopeful that what we projected to achieve through this scheme, like say Dr. JNRD just spoken that we are surpassing our targets that we were, expecting in terms of capacity creation, in terms of recovery of critical minerals through this ecosystem. So this initiative was very well thought, and it is very, you can say this is the only way to get the minerals in a very fast way. because other pillars and components of the mission, like if I talk about the exploration, mining, auction, operationalization, all these things have some, you can say, some fixity in terms of getting the results. But recycling is something that present an opportunity. So we taken a very considered view of this and come up with this scheme, and the response is very good. And I'm hopeful. When I was seeing the slides, we were just talking about that by 2030, this much will be the demand of minerals. And if we see a very granular level of availability of, you can say, these minerals, so situation is not so, I would say situation is not so bad in case of us. We are very hopeful that we will be getting good result through these schemes, and more than, I think, 25 minerals are coming out of this scheme, and it will come in a big way to meet our demand. So that's to this question one, whether recycling is fitting in the overall framework, because this is the only way to get the things, fast-track the things, if we are serious about this. So next ask that he asked whether we are thinking on some new policy instrument for this segment. So yes, of course, because this sector is very dynamic. This sector is very dynamic. The problems, new problems are coming, and even sometimes we don't know even what could be the possible solution, because solutions are even very dynamic. So this is from my side. But on whole, we are in touch with our think tank Niti Aayog and team Niti Aayog, and we are working very closely, and even we are interacting with the industry on the regular basis to get the feedback and how we can make, if it is really needed, how we can make some framework to go ahead more than this scheme. So this is regarding that. Now, my just because many of our companies are there, my just a request and suggestion to and message is that we talk about the recycling, reuse, reduce. Now, because the scheme is already in operation, so my suggestion is, let us focus now on making this scheme a successful initiative, and let us target 3 A's. Rather than always talking about the 3 R's, 3 A's. 3 A's from my side, what my understanding says, because when I was to come here, I have not made any, honestly, any preparation for what to speak. Whatever comes, I'll react. So, from my side, 3 A's. One is, scheme is there, let's actually create the capacity for recycling. Second A is, actually we recover the material. Third is very simple, actually supply these minerals to industrial users. So, this is, it's not always that that new policy will come and it will make our, you can say, life easy. So my understanding is, as I said, that it's very dynamic, you can say, this critical mineral ecosystem is very dynamic. So rather than coming out with every year with new policy, new schemes, so our understanding is let's evaluate the effectiveness of already the things we rolled out, and get the feedback from the industry, and make some, you can say, some modifications in the policy framework to suit the requirement of the industry. So it's not only that for each single problem we think of policy solution. So we have to regularly monitor and see the effectiveness on ground, whether what we expected is happening or not. Yes, I agree on this thing. There are some issues. If we really want to make a recycling to deliver at a, you can say, scale, to ensure the security, there are the issues like many of you are well aware about these issues, including traceability of materials, then assured and, you can say, easy availability of the feedstock, and then compliance mechanism we need to make a bit more, you can say, industry friendly. So like that. So the ultimate objective should not be only coming up with the policy. My understanding says overall policy environment and the environment where business operates, it should be very enabling environment. And I think we are going in the right direction from R&D, recycling, recovery, exploration, mining, operationalization, and foreign mine acquisition. We are working on all the fronts. But it takes a time to show the results, and today we are confident that this initiative, this incentive scheme for critical mineral recycling, we received a good response, and we hope it's going to be good success for the country, and becoming in sufficient quantity the minerals like the graphite, nickel, cobalt that we need for this energy transition and security needs. So this is from my side, and I hope I address the questions. And with this, I'll just request all of you, let's make it a grand success. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for the interventions. And we are really looking forward for some more incentive on the recycling scheme that has already been announced, so that more recyclers can participate actively in the recycling process. So now I turn to Sri Runa Rao, who is a scientist at the Central Pollution Control Board, and one of the portfolios you are looking after is the battery waste management and handling rules. We would like to understand what are the further improvement opportunities that exist in the battery waste management rules, and also how we can kind of create a because now traceability is being increasingly discussed in the battery waste management rules. So how we can bring in traceability as a better way of ensuring the entire supply chain is kind of appropriately marked, it is kind of environmentally sound, and the mineral extractions can happen at scale, sir.
So, thank you. And I would like to say that first thing that when the battery waste management rule has come out, the motive is to whatever the waste battery discarded in the form of solid waste or in the other way, it has to be recycled properly, it has to be collected properly, and make a good output so that it can be reused in the process of the battery making and the other process, so that it cannot be making or burden on the virgin material. So if we talk about that, initially when the rule has came out, there are several challenges are there, and based on that challenges we have discussed with the stakeholders and making that all the key battery metals, we have identified 10 key battery metals. Out of some metals came in the critical metal also. So that we are getting success on that issue. So we also know that the lithium, in case of lead acid battery, that is the advanced stage was there. But in case of lithium ion battery, there day by day technology development is there. And based on the technology development, chemistry, battery chemistry, and the type of waste is also different based on the chemistry. So the first our challenge is to for the lithium-ion battery to the quality of the whatever the quality and the collection system should be improved. Earlier it was the in the rule it has been we have thinking that the whatever the waste that is spread in the market or whatever in the kabadi wala, that should be collected in a way so that it can be recycled in a proper way. But now it has time to come up to make it in a formal way, so that in a formal way it had to be collected. Target has been given in the rule for the producer to get it collected from the market and take it to the recycler for the proper recycling. Now some of the challenges also came at that the quality of the recyclable material is also there. That is also working on that. We are working on that. And so second thing is lifespan of the battery also. Some of the issues are there. So first of all, we are thinking about that whatever the rule is there, that should be properly implemented. That should be also be in line with the rule, whatever the waste is recycling. And in the second question, many informal sectors are there we are collecting the battery. So we are also in the process of making the guideline. Guideline is already prepared. Now, very soon we will publish the guideline for the collection and storage of the battery waste. After the publication of that guideline, I hope that the things should be streamlined on the way of collection the battery. So that's from my side. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. In fact, the Battery Waste Management and Handling Rules 2022 came up with a very specific set of targets for embedding critical minerals in the newer form of batteries. So that's a kind of a really extended producer application. Sorry, not the EPR. It's a kind of secondary materials embedded in the new products that are introduced into this market. Yes. But I just wanted to understand that because it's also, although e-waste is not a part of your domain, but we would like to understand from you whether the current set of 4 materials within the EPR, which is defined under the Electronic Waste Management and Rules, does that also, are there any kind of a thinking process in terms of bringing additional materials in the EPR rules?
Sir, the addition of the metal depend upon the recyclability of recycling infrastructure of the system as well as their usability, because both should be there aligned. There should be, before making any addition of any metal, it should be ensured that it can be making it a recyclable grade, so that it can be used in the further product. That is the very important thing, sir.
Right, so obviously that's how we are able to enjoy the production at scale, because unless and until there's a demand and which is created by the secondary material embedded in the new products, that scale cannot happen. So there has to be a kind of a supply side driven by the demand for the secondary materials in the newer products. Thank you so much, sir, for your wonderful intervention. So we do have the option of posing the questions on this Slido. So may I request all the participants to kindly fill up the questions and share it on the platform, so that maybe if we can have some time, we can have those questions to the panelists as well. So now I turn to Shri Ankit Agarwal, who is a Deputy Advisor at the Ministry of Heavy Industry. And we would like to understand about the recent call that was announced by the European as well as the India Trade Technology Council on the scaling up of recycling technology in the Indian context as well as at the European end as well. So what is it that the ministry is looking at in terms of coming up with this particular scheme, because there are already players? Are there any kind of specific perspective that you have in mind in terms of supporting the lesser technologically acquainted players to kind of promote the technology, or there is something else? So we would like to understand about your scheme of thoughts for coming up with this call for proposal.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, MRAI, for arranging this event and giving this platform and taking this discussion on the India-EU TTC call. So the call basically deals about recycling of EV batteries, and the aim is not only to recycle the EV batteries, but to prove the circular economy under this call. So the scope of the call covers scaling up for technology for recycling of batteries from a lab level, maybe TRL level 3 or 4, to a real world environment and reaching to TRL level 7 or 8. So that is, and setting up a demonstration and a pilot demonstration plant of a commercial scale on the Indian soil. This is the major part of it, but it also includes other areas like we were discussing in the other presentations, the upskilling and involving the formal sector, that is from collection of EV battery waste, their segregation into what can be recycled and reused, second use of second life batteries. And it also includes adoption of the safety regulations and as the standards, recycling standards, which are there in EU, but not there in India. So it is not only deals with recycling, but it also brings in other aspects in the work packages for arranging upskilling manpower and other aspects. Now, one more aspect is there that herein it is jointly has to be done by the Indian members as well as 3 EU members. So the Indian members can take up project for recycling and demonstration plant wherein they can be supported by the EU members in adoption of their best practices, I would say. One more aspect is, this is like a demonstration of a lab level technology. So it also involves a lot of R&D institutes and the academia wherein the lab level developments are there, maybe in EU side or in the Indian side. And a company or a consortium in India wants to develop a novel technology apart from the prevalent ones like the hydrometallurgy or the pyrometallurgy ones. So, and not only recycling, but making them again reuse ready. So the aim is to make the materials which can be readily taken up for CAM manufacturing and the AM manufacturing. That is the cathode active materials and the anode active materials. So one project of around 65 crores grant under Government of India will be there, and around 100 crores, that is 9.4 million euros from EU side, are also being given in the project. So what I would say is, this is not only for recycling, but it is more about how we can engage with the other aspects which involve recycling. Collection and why, how to basically de-energize the batteries, how to select and test them, that what can be reused and repurposed for second life ones. For example, the automotive batteries can be repurposed into the stationary storage batteries. So those kind of aspects are also covered. So it is not direct recycling or 100% recycling. It covers a lot of other aspects under this call.
Thank you, sir, because this is a very interesting call that had come up in the last 1.5 months. So there's a lot of expectations from the research and development community to come actively and participate in this call. And we at TERI, I'm happy to share with you that we are also partnering with few research and development organizations and a couple of startups to kind of apply for this call along with the European partners. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your intervention. And now I turn to Mr. Harshal Dalne, who is Assistant General Manager at the MTC Group. Now, you are a recycler, so you have the hands-on understanding and the challenges that typically a recycling community faces. So I would like to request you to share maybe some of the top issues, the challenges that a company typically in the recycling space is having, and what is the kind of areas of suggestions that you have for the policy-making community who are currently here in this panel as well as there in the audience. Over to you.
Yeah, so in the morning, Mr. Amar said that GST is one of the major bottlenecks, and he requested Honorable Secretary so that maybe if we could look at 5% slab. But potentially, if you look at global models, and I think Japan is one of the best models to look at. We get educated by a Japanese partner quite frequently. So what we understand, they solved this problem in a very systematic manner. Means 30 years back, Japan was also at a similar stage where we are right now. So they focused on two parts of the problem. One was infrastructure. For infrastructure, they came up with eco parks spread across Japan in a very structured manner. And second was on the supply side. So on supply side, they came up with deposit-repository system, in which when you buy at that point of time, you submit the recycling fee, and it comes back when you give it back through government channel. There is a ticketing system in which you book the pickup. Pickup is scheduled, and it goes to the collection center, and from collection center it goes to the processor. So the infrastructure's focus is just to recycle, not think about collection. And collection system is driven by the policy intervention. So there is platform panel spread across Japan through which if you look at household waste, they are segregated into 4 parts. The first part is the large size waste. The most valuable part of any household waste is TV, fridge, AC, washing machine, 5 pieces. It covers 70% of overall waste. any household generates. The next part is small size waste, then dry waste and weight waste. So 70% of the valuable waste comes through this channel. So that's how the critical recoverable portion gets collected into the eco park system. And I think they have done this. Now the entire informal sector has become also part of this. Because so now coming to Mr. Amar's point regarding GST. So what they have done is in eco park you have you give the GST benefit. Majority of the state governments are giving incentive in the form of SGST rebate. So that if you are a formal player and part of eco park, you get GST rebate. You also get the other policy benefits. And in the eco park, Japan also made common infrastructure available. So capital was also plugged in by government. Land is available at a subsidized rate. So that's how the entire reverse supply chain problem as well as the infrastructure problem got addressed. And now it is well stable. Apart from Japan, I think potentially we can also look at EU, how EU solved the problem. It was through recycled content mandate and EPR. EPR we have already adopted. But in EPR, there are challenges like Sanjay Bhai always says that if you look at EU, they are giving $3 per kg for recycling, and here we are struggling at 22 rupees. And currently it is subsidized and we are looking at 5 rupees. So these are practical challenges which need to be really looked up on a serious note. And if you look at US on a time to time basis has always come up with an incentive structure to incentivize recyclers. So that's how US also resolved the problem. And if you look at China has done a wonderful collaboration between academia and industry. So when they bring the best technology from the world, academia is not asked to look at it, but academia is asked to look at the next level of it and make it accessible to the industry. And academia is next to the industry park. So these industry parks are defined. Means if it is recycling, the recycling university who is responsible to give the N+1. So N is brought from across the world, but next one it has to be brought by the academia and it has to be passed on to the industry. Right. So I think that's the broad, I think our understanding as of now, and we are hopeful that the way MRI is pushing these things, I think we are poised to come up with our own unique approach. And one more point I think which in previous panel discussion also was highlighted was having a traceability platform across the country. We need to have material passport, which is very crucial to ensure that OEMs get the 360-degree view of where the critical minerals are moving. Right. And and if you look at critical mineral as a category standpoint, there are only major 4 categories: e-waste, then you have ELVs, you have batteries, and you have industrial waste. So these 4 are the categories which need to be focused upon.
So I think, so you're correct, because some of the incentives are already being taken kind of by the government. On the eco-recycling part, there are a few states who have announced eco-recycling parts. The EPR, which is already in place, the secondary materials, which are important ways to kind of create demand for that, is already there. And finally, the research, the industry and the academia connection. So I think the TTC kind of call for proposal is an ideal case where we would see a kind of a benchmark in terms of facilitating industry as well as academia. So thank you so much for your intervention, and we hope to see that some of the policies which are already there would definitely help us to take the recycling into scale, addressing the concerns that you have raised. So finally, I come to Dr. Agnihotri, and thank you so much for your presentation again. So would like to understand that you have been working in the technology space, and we quite often discuss about the scaling up of technologies in the recycling had been a challenge, and it's confined only to a very limited number of players. What it means in terms of a new entrant in this particular industry so far accessing technologies is concerned, and how the technologies currently available can be made available to a larger set of stakeholders who can finally make use of the technology to kind of increase the recycling, and that what we are talking about at scale.
Just so we come in, see the answer to this question, if it's a one word, I'll call it center of excellence. if you see the concept, it is one of the pillar under this National Critical Mineral Mission. It works as a hub and spoke model. So here they have to go to the pilot scale, number first, and right from day one, the industry is connected. So what after the pilot is set up? Now industry has to take it forward. So Ministry of Mines has 3 programs for setting up a pilot. Yes, when it comes to the technology availability in country, I say no. All the technologies, I mean, in fact, we have been dealing with the startups, we have been dealing with the R&D program of Ministry of Mines. Let me share with you what we are doing at the lab scale. One of the best projects for extraction, for refining, whether it's a membrane refining, whether it's a ceramic foam filter refining, so all kind of research is going in. Technology-wise, no, we are fit. Yes, when it comes to pilot, there is a risk which government is already de-risking that particular stage, is giving funds under to Center of Excellence. As I told you, there is another scheme of 100 crores for setting up a pilot. And the good thing is, like the 10% of the total cost has to come from the industry. So the interest comes, I mean, when you put a money, the interest comes. Otherwise, I mean, at some point, like industry feels, no, I'm not a part of it. I mean, it's of no interest to me. So right from there, they are investing in that pilot. Only 10%, 90% risk government is taking. So that is how the things are being scaled up. So that is what. And let me also share 3 things. See, today the biggest challenge, it's not the technology. We call it collection, segregation, traceability, and formability. We don't have standards. We don't have standards for the product which are coming from the recycling route. Right? So, presently on the recycling industry, yes, I say it's a next generation risking activity of Government of India for getting the mineral. It's very fast, but still, we have uncertainty on the feedstock. We are working on invisible feedstock because 90% is in informal sector. So that uncertainty is there. There is an uncertainty of price, economics. I mean, the previous panel talked a lot about it, how the prices go up 15%, 50% down. Cobalt, once upon a time it was 2,000, it came back to 1,000. So that uncertainty is there. And third, yes, government is taking care of is the technology scaling up. So that uncertainty is there, but government is taking it. But first 2 are still open.
No, I agree with you in terms of the availability of the feedstock for the commercial applications is definitely a challenge because of the large informality that exists, which I made a kind of a point in during my presentation and also as reiterated by our panelists. So we are already up with our time, and I'm very happy to see that quite a number of questions that we have received, but because of the paucity of time, we won't be able to take up any question. So what I would request is that during the break, if you can connect with the panelists and get their feedback on the questions. So with this, I would like to end this wonderful session and would like to thank all the panelists for their wonderful interventions and insights. Please join me giving a big round of applause to our fellow panelists. And thank you again, and I hand it over to Smita for the proceedings.
I must take the opportunity and just say a few words that what is our problem as a MRE, I'll describe that. Good panelist from Government of India is sitting. The scale, the government intentions are absolutely pure. We understand, 100% we understand, we recognized, and again we say that you have done excellent work for all of us. We need now, the time is very much critical, we need now scale and speed, which is not seen, honestly. You just see the EPR on the e-waste. From last 2 years, everyone is crying, nothing is being done. We are meeting, the Honorable Minister also met us 2 times, that there is no solutions. So, you know, we are already late by 10 years. We say, I'm going to say our secretaries, joint secretaries, we say that the Indian circular economy systems are already late by 10 years. If we don't scale and give scale and speed, by joining heads together, various ministries, the things will not move. We need circular economy. Souvik ji was saying that various states have formalized and signed the MOU and everything. I give my example. I have signed with Maharashtra government 2 years back in Switzerland the documents that we opened circular economy park in Maharashtra. Being a BJP government, so far, not even 25 acres land is being allocated. What should I do? Where should I go? So, that kind of scale and speed is required from the government of India. There are various states are now ruled by our central government government. So that kind of, I'm going to say, speed needs. Thank you so much, Souvik ji. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir, for this wonderful, at least a point to kind of end the session. So we do have a long journey to go in terms of addressing some of the major concerns that the industry has, and I'm pretty sure that the fellow panelists have taken due cognizance of the points that have been raised, and we will see a kind of something moving forward in the coming months as we move ahead. So thank you again, and please join me again giving a round of applause to our fellow panelists, and I hand it over to Smita for the next round of announcements.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone. It was indeed a very enriching session. Now, I would like to call upon Shri Sanjay Mehta, sir, to felicitate our panelists, starting with Dr. Anupam Agnihotri, sir. Shri Sukhdeep Singh, sir. I would like to request Mr. B.K. Soni, sir, to kindly felicitate Runa Uran, sir.
Binisha ji, please come. Amar Singh also, please come.
Amar, sir. Miss Professor Benisha P. to kindly felicitate Mr. Ankit Agarwal. Mr. Amar Singh to please felicitate Mr. Harshal. Amar sir to also felicitate our moderator, Souvik sir. Please join us all for a group photograph. While the group photograph is going on, I would like to announce that after lunch, we have two very interesting panel discussions lined up. One is on technology showcase, in which IIT, CSIRs, ANRF and other startups are going to showcase their technologies. And after that, we have an industry session in which new budding industries, startups and companies are going to talk about various waste streams for critical mineral recycling. So please join us back at 2:30 for these two enriched sessions.